Hey, what's going on, crypto people? It is the Crypto Siege with another day in the crazy life that is the digital asset space. What's going on, guys? Happy Friday, guys. Absolutely excited to hear about this. Wow, and in the stream later today, when I do a live stream, we're going to talk about Singapore just a bit. Exciting PDF. Shout out to XRP Darren Moore shared a PDF in his Patreon group. And I'm going to share with you guys sometime later today. Guys, wow, this is really, really great news because, we all know about Singapore, and it is massive. It is a massive country when it comes to technology, digital assets, or otherwise. So this is huge news, guys. Huge, huge news. So listen, guys, this is your XRP Ripple daily news in 0 to 10 minutes. Let's do this. Ripple Coinbase, first of all, shout out to blockcrypto.com. Ripple Coinbase get a license exemption in Singapore for a limited period. So Ripple, the company, and Coinbase, remember, two different entities. Okay, Coinbase is more like a freaking broker than anything. So for a limited time period. So here's what it says. Quick take, several crypto firms have been granted an exemption from holding a license in Singapore for a limited time period. Now, why do you think that is? Why do you think that is? The Monetary Authority of Singapore, an exemption from holding a license in Singapore for a limited time period. So these include, and I want you to seriously pay attention to these. These include Singapore entities of Ripple, Coinbase, Binance, Gemini. Just want you to think about that. How many of those have a digital asset that's actually being used in the real world? I get Binance has a Binance coin, and Gemini has their stable coin. How many of those have a digital asset in real world use case? I get it. These are major companies, right? A number of crypto firms, including Ripple, Coinbase, and Binance, have been granted an exemption from holding a license in Singapore for a limited period. The Monetary Authority of Singapore, and my point is that, when you think about Ripple and its technology and the fact that it has a digital asset, they're not in yet in the exchange business, right? They're not in the exchange business yet. It's coming. To be included in this, where they know there's a digital asset that is their main asset, is really massive, in my opinion. So the Monetary Authority of Singapore announced the news on Wednesday, saying that Ripple Labs Singapore, Coinbase Singapore, Binance Asia Services, and others can provide specific payment services under exemptions. Ooh. All the three firms, for instance, can provide digital payment token services until July of 2020. What the world? The exemption will cease after the date, as they all are required to submit a licensing application for their services by then. So this is really, it may be on the other end of a proof of concept, but just to kind of see how they're going to operate, what's it going to look like. It's going to be people coming in here and trying to, mess up systems, right? Because they're concerned in Singapore, it's big time. They do not want bad players, bad actors. They don't want anything to do with bad actors or people who might appear to be. So in Singapore, they are serious about what they do. All of the three firms, for instance, can provide digital payment token services until July 28, 2020. The exemption will cease after the date, as they are all required to submit a license application for their services by then. So they're going to be putting them in, right? Singapore. We already know the connection with Ripple and Singapore, guys. Cannot forget it. And I know there are other digital assets out there, and they talk about Singapore a lot. Singapore a lot. But their company didn't get the license. And it's one in particular that I'm really thinking about. They did not get the license. So, and they were, they're always talking about this particular digital asset being in the cross-border payment space, or at least being used in Singapore, primarily more so in Singapore. Maybe they have already gotten it. So in any case, other firms such as BitGo, Singapore, and Gemini Trust Company can also provide account issuance services, domestic money transfer service, and inward cross-border money transfer services until January 28 of 2021. Okay, interesting. So Gemini Trust Company and BitGo, Singapore. Okay, that's custody. I know that. Got to find out a little bit more what does Gemini Trust Company do. Please note that these entities are not licensed under the Payment Services Act to provide the specific payment services, but are allowed to continue to provide the specific payment services, said the regulator. The exemption will cease after the specified period. So I'm really so curious as to see what Ripple is going to be doing, which banks in Singapore or institutions or small, whatever financial institutions they're going to be working with in Singapore. I'll look that up for sure. The exemption will cease after the period. I said that already. Other notable crypto firms that have been granted exemptions include Singapore entities of LedgerX, OKCoin, DRW, Cumberland, never heard, GSR, and PundiX, among others. I think GSR has to do something with Ripple as well. I can't remember, but I believe it does. David Ben-Kay, Chief Legal Officer of PundiX Lab, said, in compliance with the PS Act, we will be filing our license application to operate account issuance and digital payment token services, PundiX in Singapore. Massive. By July 28th of 2020, I don't have any PundiX, but I know that's good news for the people in the camp of PundiX. Congratulations to you guys. Singapore's Payment Services Act came into effect earlier this year. At the time, MAS, which is the Monetary Authority of Singapore, said it believes cryptocurrencies carry significant money laundering risks due to their anonymous and borderless nature of transactions. Therefore, all crypto businesses are required to be licensed to operate in the country. There are 3 classes of licenses under the Act: a money-changing license, a standard payment institution, and a major payment institution. Each service provider needs to hold only one of the 3 licenses, the Monetary Authority of Singapore said at the time. Wow. That's really, 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 really exciting in my opinion. You know, so that's forward progress in my opinion. That's moving forward. And, Singapore is very, again, they don't mess around. They take care of that country and they follow the rule to the law, to the letter. And you will be thoroughly vetted, if you will, thoroughly vetted before they're going to let you do business there. I can guarantee you that. So this is absolutely exciting news for Ripple. You know, those of us in the XRP community, this is really exciting news. Looking forward to hearing what they're going to do, what they're going to get up and running, how they're going to, what is that going to look like for, for some of the partnerships that they have in Singapore, because there is a Ripple Singapore. So interesting stuff there. So the other great news, and again, this is having to do with R3 quarters blockchain, but we all know about the quarter settler, right? So again, Mr. Cattell, major holder and number 1 holder in R3 and number 1 holder in Ripple, right? So HSB, Ripple partner, puts 10 billion of private placements on R3's quarter blockchain. Shout out to CoinDesk for bringing this article to us. HSBC has put 10 billion of paper-based private placement records on R3's quarter blockchain and plans to ramp up the project through this year and next. Wow, this is massive, guys. Massive in a lot of ways. We're confident that we'll be able to put significant additional volume and value of private placements from new and existing clients on the platform over the next 12 to 18 months, said Siran Roddy, head of custody innovation and strategy initiatives at HSBC. The company had previously announced that it would have 20 billion on the platform by March 2020. HSBC tells CoinDesk that efforts to increase the functionality of the platform due to client interest are what have slowed its onboarding push. So R3, they're saying the platform is not ready yet to handle it. Increase the functionality of the platform. Yeah, okay. So with no immediate plans to move into the crypto space, HSBC is focused on assets that have yet to be digitized, as well as exchange-based security tokens and traditional assets that could be fractionalized. Wow. HSBC gets it, guys. They understand where we're going. They understand that we're talking about digital assets, we're talking about tokens and security tokens. The bank is also seeing demand from clients to use tokens for whole fund life cycle, for a whole fund life cycle, Roddy said, as well as tokens that are a basket of assets wrapped into one. Tokens that are a basket of assets wrapped into one. They get it. The people from HSBC get it, and their clients are wanting this, and they are listening to their clients, which is huge. The bank is using blockchain as opposed to a traditional database because it plans to tokenize the private placement after it digitizes them. Let me read that again. The bank is using blockchain as opposed to a traditional database because it plans to tokenize the private placement after it digitizes them. They're using blockchain and they will be tokenizing these placements. This, guys, is the future. And HSBC, again, they get that. Private placements are sales of stock shares or bonds that don't occur on the open market. Unlike other enterprise efforts, HSBC did not put a cost-saving estimate on the digitization project, claiming incremental internal efficiency instead. So they weren't counting the pennies. They understood that ultimately this was going to be a more efficient way to do business. However, Roddy said the bank's main aim with Corda is to get real-time information access. It's more of a case of us trying to future-proof ourselves as blockchain becomes more mainstream, and then also being in a position to add value to clients by providing them with self-service tools instead of them having to come to us to source the information, he said. Got it. The queries are usually simple, but while records are on paper, clients have to call bankers who then look up the answer to those queries. While tokenization would allow for the bank to implement tools like smart contracts, the bank first has to get issuers on board with the idea and ensure that regulators are comfortable with recognizing tokens as legal, enforceable, and transferable assets. Guys, for those of us who are early adopters in this new asset class, that is the digital asset space, this is great news. Easy access. Clients can access Corda's platform, which the bank has dubbed Digital Vault, through their HSBC online accounts. They click on holdings and it brings up a list of all the documents that we have stored against that particular transaction, Roddy said. Clients can also grant system access to third parties like regulators and auditors. Some clients have already granted system access to their asset managers. The bank is trying to anticipate a world in which financial entities turn to tokens as a better way of issuing assets. I don't even know what to say about that statement right there. The bank is trying to anticipate a world in which financial entities turn to tokens as a better way of issuing assets. We're seeing a number of traditional exchanges use DLT, distributed ledger technology, he said. HSBC being a clearing member and a local depository, we want to be able to support our clients who want to transact in these token markets. Nice, very, very nice article there, CoinDesk. Great job there. So guys, there it is. This is, again, this is huge news for those of us who are early adopters, and that's us, in this new asset class that is a digital asset space. When major businesses like HSBC, major bank, recognizes and understand this is where they're going, and they're putting it out on the street. They understand that the tokenization, the digitization, and the tokenization of things utilizing blockchain is the future. They get it. They 1,000% get it. 10 billion the placement. Yeah, we know what private placement is, right? Because we discussed that a lot when we were talking about Ripple, the company, and their future IPO, right? And they had already done some placements already. So this is huge. I think this is really, really exciting news. Wow, this is great. Absolutely great to see. I got to figure out which one I'm going to use the title on this video, because this is all great news. All right, guys, listen, I'm going to wrap up this video like I do all my videos and remind you of this. Old money doesn't want you to win. They don't want us to win. They would rather us remain a cog in their perpetual wheel of trading our time for dollars. They don't want us to play in the same playground that they play in, where we allow our money to work for us. This is our chance to win, guys. The digital asset space is our chance to win. We are in the midst of the greatest transfer of wealth in the history of man. Are you participating, or are you standing on the sidelines? Here's what I do know, that the battle for you has already been fought, and the victory is yours. Go get it. I'll talk to you soon, guys. See ya. Bye.